Okay, everyone, good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to another stretch session. And maybe you can see, no, I can't see him off the, Baltazar is catching and eating flies right now, which is his favorite activity. Sure, yeah, you can see his ear right there. It's actually quite amazing how good he is at it. And I guess he'll be doing that for our class, but we're going to stretch it out. So derekbarris.com/yoga. He's very happy, proud of himself now. For schedule information, donation links for these classes and everything else, as you may be aware, in Southern California, all the gyms have once again closed, which honestly was inevitable. So I'm going to keep recording at least through this year, it looks like. So that's cool. I'm moved down to 2 classes a week. Tuesdays is dynamic core flow, Thursdays is stretch session. If you have any requests, let me know and I'm happy to abide. But my wife Callan is going to start filming as well, so we'll have some of her classes up here as soon. Those won't be live streamed. We'll film them when she has time, and then I'll post them and then update. So check out the page for that, and you can subscribe to my newsletter where I keep people updated there as well. All right, I'm feeling a pigeon class today, and we're actually going to start there. So come into down dog. And take a moment, just stretch out and pedal through your feet. Just take 3 or 4 breaths here. You can bend your knees, you move your head around. So starting in pigeon can be a little intense, depending on how your relationship to the pose. So just remember that when you start there, it's not going to be your deepest pigeon. So try not to force anything here. We'll start on the left side today. I want to draw your left knee behind your left wrist. And we'll come on in. So we're going to be here for about 2 minutes. I want you to find something that's comfortable, if that's a block under your seat, under your left glute, if that's a block under your head. Right? And for some of you, pigeon is just something you can do. It doesn't require a lot of effort, so of course you can work on your back leg, pressing a little more. You can up-level it as needed, twisting. But really the goal here is just to get some length in the front of your right leg, so a little bit of engagement there, and then pull your left sitting bone back. And then settle in, and now let's just take some deep breaths. Good, just over halfway there, about another 45 seconds. So just checking in, making sure you're staying mentally engaged here. And perhaps for these last few moments, just focusing on the feeling of the breath inside of you as you settle your hip back. Yeah, take 2 more deep breaths. Okay, walk your hands back, tuck your back toes, downward facing dog. And just see how that feels. Again, starting there. Can range from being very intense to not so much, but for me, always feels good. Stay in your down dog a moment, or if you want to take a flow, just kind of loosen up there, come through to 1. And then as you're ready, we'll take our right knee behind your right wrist. And we'll settle in here. Same idea, about 2 minutes. A little meditation to start in your pigeon pose. Halfway through here. So again, top of your left foot down, just pull your right sitting bone back, if that's okay for here. We'll breathe another minute. One more deep breath here. Take your time, press back to downward facing. Take a moment there. If you'd like, come through a flow. If you don't read on the show notes, I do have a playlist specific to these classes. I don't change it every week. It's just 10 hours of ambient music called Greatest Shavasana. So, I don't provide it on YouTube, but you can always use it if you'd like. Now, in your down dog, walk your feet in, and so your heels come to the ground. So you're in a short down dog. And then take your right hand, and you can grab the outside of your left thigh, or maybe get to your left ankle or foot, and just look up under your left armpit. Take a little twist here. Okay, 3 more breaths. Last breath. Well, nice and easy. Switch right hand down. Having your heels down makes it easier. Right, left hand to your right thigh, ankle, whatever you can hold on to. Just 5 breaths here. So your heels down lets you push back through both heels and have that feedback. That's why I like just shortening the stance a little. Gets me a little deeper into the twist here as well. 3 more breaths. And then release, and nice and easy, lower your knees down. Sit back on your heels for a moment. And just take 5 breaths here. You can relax your wrists after that. And we're going to do a little footwork and a little wrist work as well next. We're going to work towards full hero's pose today. So if you have a block and a strap for this practice, it'll help. There'll be variations if you don't have them. If this is enough, just sitting on your heels or have a block under your seat, if that's intense for you. Otherwise, we'll just get a little more stretch here. Bring your fingers down next to your hips and then lean back and lift your knees off the ground and tap them down. 2. 2 more. Now, hold here or hold up or lean back more and hover your arms off the ground. And just breathe here for 3. And lower your knees back down. Come forward. We'll go to wrists next. Right hand forward, left hand turns back. And just lean back into that left wrist. And then pulse forward. So a bit of a forearm stretch as well. We'll do 3 more. And 1. And switch. Left hand forward, and we'll just lean back into that right wrist and forearm for 5. Two more. And 1. And then release that forward. And then tuck your toes. And let's come up into wide-kneed position. So ideally your feet are together, and you're going to push your knees out wide. And maybe your heels come to the ground. And maybe they don't. And then you come forward and tap your knees down. Your knees come together. We're going to flow through that a couple of times, and then we're going to hold each end. 2. So a little more than a couple. I say that sometimes, and I know a couple is 2, but we'll do 5. 3. And 4, and then 5 we hold. So drop back, walk your hands out, drop your head, take 5 breaths here, and again, your heels may be down. And you can push your butt back a little more. If not, if you're like me, you're working your heels towards the ground. 3 more breaths. And then come forward. Toes tucked, tap your knees down, hands up on your thighs. And a little foot stretch here, 5 breaths. Two more. Bring your hands down. Push down through your hands to straighten your legs and take a forward bend. You can bend your knee, one knee and then the other, just rocking that side to side. And then take your feet and separate them a little bit and come down to Malasana, squat pose. And from your Malasana, you'll take your arms out and then take your left knee, turn it, maybe tap it to the ground, and then pull it back up, and then take your right knee over, tap it. If you don't tap your knees down, that's okay. You can turn as much as you can, just moving side to side here, working those rotator muscles. And back to center, and just finding your squat for a moment. Push your elbows into your thighs, pull your chest up. We'll take 4 more breaths here. Shoulders down, press the crown of your head for 2. And then bring your hands back down and come back down onto your shins. And sit back on your heels. Now you're going to take your hands behind your back and interlace them. And we're going to work towards rabbit, or basically a child's pose. So knees come a little wide. First option is just to fold forward. Bring your hands up. Second option is to come to the top of your head into rabbit. Stretch there. Two more breaths. Now release your hands and then sit back on your cat all the way back. I like to pretend I'm a jungle gym here. Okay, now hands on your thighs, roll out your shoulders. And reverse directions. We're going to work the same stretch one more time. Just take the opposite pinky on top or opposite thumb. So if you went to child's pose, just right in the way, or come to the top of your head for rabbit and breathe. Release your hands, roll back up. Okay, now we're going to work half hero's pose, so you may want to block. I'm going to use it. And the easiest way to come, you're just going to lean your left hand down and then just pick up your right foot and take it forward. And then you can place your block under your right sitting bone there, under your right glute. You want your left glute free. Now you can continue to sit on your left heel or do it as I do and bring your left heel just outside of your left glute. And you want that left hip to drop. So again, a block or a towel or a blanket, doesn't have to be anything. You can actually go a little lower if you'd like. And then start here, flex your right foot. If this is enough, this is enough. If this is no good, you can come into Shavasana and forward bend that way if this is no good for your ankle. Otherwise, you'll come forward into the hamstring stretch. Now as you come forward, push your left sitting bone back, so maintaining that half hero's pose as well. And we'll just take about a minute here. So close your eyes and breathe into the back of your right leg. About halfway through, try to clip the pinky toe edge of your left foot down if you notice it rolling. So your left foot pushing down actually creates a lot more stretch out of this. If your foot's just there, that's one thing, but actively push it down, you get a little more out of it. Okay, about 3 more breaths. Okay, and then come on back up. Now again, for the next one, we're going to lean back. But if this is good and you just want to hold and maintain this stretch, if that's enough, maintain. I'm going to come off my block now and then lean back a little bit. So you can come back all the way onto your back. You can come back, just kind of soften. You can come onto your forearms. I'm just going to ease in over the next minute here. So starting low, try to keep your left knee centered. So if you notice that your left knee starts winging out to the left, right, you've probably gone too far back. So you want to maintain that basic squareness in your hips for this posture. About halfway, another 30 seconds to breathe into that left hip. Two more breaths. And come on back up. Grab your left ankle with your left hand and we'll release that leg, swing it forward. and shake that out. Now, to go cross, to kind of release that, you're going to bend your right knee, put your right foot inside of your left knee. So instead of the crossover, this is more the Ashtanga twist. You'll take your right hand behind you, lift your left arm, and then hook your left elbow outside your thigh. Now, you can bind in front of your shin if you have that sort of flexibility. I do not. I think I did in my 20s, but that one is gone from me. So I'm going to keep working the rotation and push my right knee back out into my left tricep there. So I like this to get right into my QL. Feels really good. Take about 4 more breaths here. Now we're basically going to keep this twist, and you can keep your right knee bent if you'd like. Otherwise, drop down onto your right forearm, and then grab the outside of your right foot with your left hand, and roll right back, and then open up into your twist, and we'll keep getting into that QL for a few moments here. I'll take 3 more breaths here. Now from there, you're going to roll onto your back with your right ankle crossed over your left thigh. I just got to shift on my mat right here. And just before we come into the next pose, just relax. Let that, it's almost like tree pose, except your ankle is over. We're going to go to thread needle next. So just take a few breaths and let that right knee naturally fall. So see if you can just relax it down for about 3 or 4 more breaths. And then bend your left knee and pull up into thread the needle. And if you'd like to straighten your left leg and move into a different variation or a cradle of the right leg, this is yours for the next minute or so. Just keep your right foot flexed in any variation you're in. Take one more deep breath here. And then maintaining the ankle, your ankle over your left thigh, rebend your left knee, put your foot down, and then drop your knees over to the right. Let's get into that QL and outer thigh one last time. So the more you press your outer thigh, you want to be just above the knee there. You don't want to push into your knee with your right ankle. The more you'll stretch out, get out of that stretch. 3 more breaths. come up, release, windshield wipe your legs out. And then hug your knees into your chest and rock back up. And we'll do the other side. So if you're using your block, you'll place it under your left sits bone. So you can come up there and then swing your right leg around. And remember, we'll be in this half heroes for just over 2 minutes here. So a minute on each side for the poses. So let your right hip drop, flex your left foot, and then start to crawl forward. If you did Janu Shirshasana, Shavasana on the other side, work that. And then again, see if you can lengthen and then soften. And the more you push the top of your right foot down, the more you will get out of this. And take one more deep breath here. Okay, and come on back up. So again, you can just stay or you can lean back. You can stay on your block and lean back as well, or you can take it out, give you a little more space to come back. Again, you can just soften. We're here for about a minute. If you make your way onto your back or your forearms, options are there for you. Just try not to let your right knee wing out to the side. Keep it pretty centered here. Your knees don't have to touch, but you want them close. About 3 more deep breaths here. Start to bring yourself back up. If you're leaning back, grab your right ankle with your right hand and swing your right leg around and let that go. Okay, so we'll do that Ashtanga twist here, that version of Marichasana. Your knees, your left foot lines up with your right knee or a little bit behind, and then you lift your right arm up and then take it outside of your, you can just push your elbow, you can wrap it up, or you can bind it. And you see in this version, my hand is not right up flush against me, but I'm pushing off my left hand. I don't want to lean back into that left hand. I want to lift up out of it and then twist. We'll take 3 more breaths here. Again, you can keep your knee bent, or you can reach down and grab your foot as we move on to our back in that spinal twist. So up and across. And breathe here into your twist, but also into your QL, which feels good. Take 3 more deep breaths. From there, as you come back to center, your left ankle will be crossed over your right thigh on your back. So a little passive pigeon stretch here before we come into the more active one. Okay, and we'll go to thread the needle, bend your knee in, or again, you can take a different variation if you did on the other side. Just keep your left foot flexed here for the duration. And you can pull your right knee in as you exhale, finding a little bit more depth into that left glute. Two more breaths here. And then you'll rebend your knee if it was straight. Put your right foot down. Keep the crossing. You drop your knees over now to the left. Keep your right shoulder down. And now using your left ankle, pushing into your outer thigh to create more stretch. Too much, you just ease up on that and it becomes a little more passive. Two more breaths here. Release back to center. And windshield wipe your legs again. See how your lower back feels. We're going to do a couple more things for that area. And then we're going to do some restorative for the rest of our time today. That's why a bolster or a block and a strap will be great. If you have it, I will give you modifications if you do not have those. All right, hug your knees in. And we're going to come up. We're going to go to full hero's pose. So you want to cross your ankles and come forward onto your hands and knees. And you can go a little back on your mat. Now, in full heroes, your feet go wide, and then you sit between your heels. Okay, now for me, I use a block in this pose. Sometimes I use a blanket as well, because the block, it actually lifts me just a little bit past my range of motion. I can come a little lower, but I can't get my butt all the way down. And as this is a more gentle class, I'm just going to stay here because I feel stretch. Maybe I'll lean back just a little bit, but if you want to come onto your forearms or your back, go for it. We're here for the next minute. And the thing is, if you do come back and your hips start to lift, your knees start to splay apart, you've gone too far back. You want your knees, if not touching, pretty close. And then also you do want to try to clip your pinky toe edge down if possible to get that stretch in your shin there. You're about halfway through here. Okay, if you're on your back or forearms, come up slowly. And we're going to transition to downward facing dog. Take your time out of that. It can always be a little intense depending on the depth of it. And pedal out through your feet there. See how that feels. And then last two standing poses, back to the beginning. Slide your left shin forward for pigeon. And let's see how 35, 36 minutes later, pigeon feels now as when we just first landed into it. And it's your variation, so if you want to twist or bend your back knee or take any version here, go for it. It's your time. Same as the beginning. We have 2 minutes here. About halfway through, so if you can sit back a little deeper into it, maybe slide your right leg back, but keep wrapping your right hip forward. Take 2 more deep breaths here. Okay, and take your time coming out of it. Press back to downward facing. And again, your choice. Take a flow, pedal out, take a moment with it. And as you're ready, slide your right shin forward, and we'll come into the second side. So settling in. Using your props if you need, right sitting bone back, left hip forward, and then try to soften. About 4 more deep breaths here. Take your time coming out to your last downward facing. Lift Back up, pedal through your feet. And as you're ready, tap down and come onto your backs. And as I said, for the last portion today, we're going to do some restorative. And if you have a block and a strap, that would be great. But if not, that is totally fine. You'll take your block first. We'll do restorative bridge. So you want it either at, for most people, the lower, maybe the second level. Some people like the top, but that tends to be a lot of stretch. And this is more about relaxation. So you place it there. And then relax. Now, if you do not have a block, you can again use a blanket or a pillow, roll it up as a bolster. Otherwise, you can bring your feet together and knees open, so your Baddha Konasana on your back. Okay. We'll just be here for about 2 minutes. There is also the version where your knees come together or you extend your legs out straight. You can move into those as well. For the second minute, I'm going to offer the legs up version. You can stay here or extend your legs up now so you're in a supported shoulder stand. Feels really good for the reverse blood flow from your feet down. If your legs are up, bend your knees, put your feet on the ground. Take your time coming out, lift your hips, slide your block out, and roll onto your back. Okay, hug your knees in, let that go. Okay, the next one, I love this one. It looks a little weird at first, but when you get there, you need your strap. And if you don't have a strap or a towel that you can use, towel will be a little bit tough. You can go legs up the wall. So you turn and you'll bring your butt to the wall and extend your legs up and you'll get the reverse blood flow. But if you do have a strap, you'll get a little neck release here. And again, I know it looks a little strange, but what happens is you bring the strap around your right foot and then you bring it back around your head. And then you stretch your left leg out. And this is it. And you get a passive hamstring stretch, and you can also let your neck relax. All right, so we'll be here about 90 seconds, and then we'll switch legs. And if it's too much on your lower back with your left leg straight, you can bend your knee and put your foot down, and that will alleviate the pressure, which feels good. I like it straight because I get a little more stretch in my right hamstring. And now the more you can relax the weight of your shoulder and your head, the more you stretch the back of your right leg, and the more you can relax your neck. If your legs up the wall, you just get to stay and enjoy. It's a really, really nice pose. The easiest transition is to bend your left knee to your chest and then lean in and then take your left foot into the strap and just switch it out. And then there's your left leg. And then stretch your right leg out or bend your knee. And we'll be here about, again, 90 seconds. So the key is to find it and then relax into it. A couple more breaths here. Again, if your legs up the wall and you're in a good place, you can remain. Otherwise, you just want to lift up a little, bend your left knee, and you can slide the strap off. Pretty easy transition out. Stretch your legs out. Oh. And then hug your knees in and give a squeeze. Hamstrings, hopefully after that, feel pretty open. Happy baby pose. And then we're going to do one more restorative, and then I'll let you go for Shavasana. So I know if you don't have a block, you might have done this already, but for our last restorative here, for our final 2 minutes before Shavasana, we're going to come back to Baddha Konasana. Nice way to just let your inner thighs relax. You can bring one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. And then just breathe and very passively just letting your knees open here. Okay. From there, you can just let your arms relax by your side. If this is comfortable, stay for a few more minutes. You can also stretch your legs straight out for Shavasana. I advise a few minutes at least to just let your nervous system to continue to relax. I will leave you here, and I'll see you again soon for dynamic core flow. Thanks, everyone. Namaste.